What's up, Mortgage Coach community? Dave Savage coming to you live with Jimi Ryan, podcaster and mortgage coach. What's up, Jimmy?
What's up, man? What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me, Dave. I'm really excited to be on and show some things that I got here.
Yeah, well, dude, I am pumped for this interview. I have to tell you, I do a lot of interviews, which I think anyone tuning into this knows that I've done a few interviews in my days for over a decade, but I don't get interviewed nearly as much. I do enjoy it, and I loved the conversation you and I had last week, and it was really an honor to be on your podcast, getting it done.
For sure, brother. Look, I've listened to it a couple times myself. It's an inspiring story, and I think that a lot of people could take a ton of value from it. And we'll have to put it somewhere in the comments on this so that people could check it out.
Well, let's do that. If you're watching this live right now in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group, in a minute, one of us will put a link down below, or if you're watching the recording, if you're watching this on YouTube, there'll be links down below. And Jimmy's doing a great job, guys. I mean, he is a mortgage professional, but he's a legit podcaster. One of the cool things that happened, and well, you do know it because I texted you over the weekend, but one of my son's coaches, a high school lacrosse coach in our local market, reached out, someone that doesn't know me as a mortgage professional, doesn't know me as a businessman, just knows me as a lacrosse dad, Jack Savage's dad. And he reached out and just said some really nice things about how he listened to it. He got takeaways, and a high school lacrosse coach said I put it in my inspirational toolkit. So I was pretty pumped about that, dude. Thank you very much.
For sure, brother. And I mean, I'm all about helping people. So if it could help just one person, I think it's worth it. And the Get It Done podcast is really, it's not all about mortgages. It's more about the come up story and how we face adversity and overcome it. And, Dave, you're at a great position, but you didn't start that way. And I was happy to just share that story with everybody. And I think anybody listening to it, you don't have to be in mortgage to take value from it. So thanks for sharing your story, Dave.
Yeah, well, no, thank you. It was an honor to do it. I enjoyed it, and hopefully it brings value to some folks out there. We'll put a link down below. Check it out.
For sure.
So Jimmy, let's start with you're a loan officer, and that's how you make a living, but you're putting some real resources and some time and energy around this podcast. So let's just start with why. Why are you, loan officer podcaster? What's the why?
Well, first off, thanks for that question. That's a great way to start. It's all about creating a brand, and how are you different than every other loan officer out there? So the way I look at it is this: I'm positioning the Jimi Ryan brand, the Team Get It Done brand, the Get It Done podcast brand next to people that are, for instance, like you, a CEO of a company, and Steve Jacobson was on. We have him right next to me. That brands me and positions me next to people that are very well respected. I've interviewed the number one realtor in Wisconsin, Justin Hoffman, for instance. And all I have to say is, hey, look, I've interviewed, the number one guy. And when I interview other realtors, when I call them, they know that it's not, hey, Jimmy wants to meet up for coffee and, talk about rates, costs, and fees. No, Jimmy might want to, invite you as a guest on the podcast or talk to you about something real. And it just separates me from other people. And the way I like to look at it is try and match me. And it's pretty difficult, but we also do a unique thing. And I'm not trying to be someone else. I'm trying to be Jimi Ryan, and my unique energy, vibe, whatever you want to call it, it's authentic, and you really can't match it. But also we do put a lot of work into it to get it out to the masses. And we really love just telling people stories and trying to get other people to, just share their value with the world. And maybe they didn't even know that they had it, but I get, like your story. I think every podcast that I've done, most of them at least, have some story like that where, somebody reached out and said, hey, this really helped me. And Steve Jacobson says it like this, if it can help one person, it was worth it. And that's why I do it.
Well, it was definitely an honor to be on the same podcast with Steve Jacobson. To me, one of the greatest leaders in the history of the mortgage business. And he's like an OG mortgage coach. I mean, I just don't know what Mortgage Coach would be without Steve's leadership over the years. So you were definitely attracting some very important, great leaders in the mortgage and real estate space. And I guess that brings another question. I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I mean, it was such a good podcast, and you seem to be putting so much resource around it. Like, you want to be the next Joe Rogan, like, and I like the theme, getting it done, overcoming adversity. What is your big play here? Because I get it as a loan officer, you answered it, and that makes sense to me. But do you have a bigger goal that you literally want to turn this into a bigger platform? Like, what are your goals? I'm curious.
No, that's a great question. A lot of people ask me this. That would be great to be the next Joe Rogan. I mean, my goodness,
right?
Who wouldn't want to be that, of course? And selling his podcast for $100 million, awesome. That's cool. And look, I look up to people like that. And it's not really about that to me. I'm leading with value first, truly. My vision for it is, look, I'm going to do 1,000 episodes, and then I'm going to think about it. And that's really how you got to do it with podcasts. You can't just start with one and be like, oh man, how many people listen to it? Just to share this, anybody that's considering starting a podcast, I would encourage you, don't even look at any of your numbers for the first 6 months. I do. Don't get me wrong. You're going to look at them, but don't judge yourself based on that. And because like my first podcast, I think I got like 1 or 2 listens, the very first episode. But people have listened to that episode over the course of time. They have a long shelf life. And I'm just trying to provide great value, unique value, tell people's unique stories. And I'm genuinely like, these are the stories that I tell, and these are the stories that I ask about from people. These are the conversations that I have with people anyway. We're just hitting record and, putting it together in a structured way. And I guess I don't know if that necessarily answers your question, brother, but
no, it did. You're like, of course I'd like to be Joe Rogan, but right now I'm just committed to a path, and we'll see where that path takes me. And we'll check 100%. It every time. And whether I get 1 or 2 viewers or not, I'm getting it on. That was what I took from it. And I like that. When I started creating, the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, and I started interviewing top producers 12 years ago, it was just, I'm going to put on the best sales meeting in the mortgage business at 9:00 on Tuesday. And I mean, I think if no one would have come, maybe I wouldn't have kept doing it, but it wasn't like, oh, I have to have 1,000 loan officers on every one. And it was just like dozens, hundreds. And I just want to bring that leadership. Now, one thing I have found in all the years of creating content, that every time I interview someone, I get better. Like, I get smarter. I have more energy for my main job, CEO of Mortgage Coach. Although I consider interviewing people like you now one of the 3 most important things I do. So it's become a part of being the CEO of Mortgage Coach. But do you feel that way? Like, you feel like every interview is like, I'm smarter, I'm better, I'm growing?
100%. You know what? I'm interviewing some of the industry experts. And look, Dave, I know that you're a humble guy, but listen, you're an industry expert. I really did. I've listened to your podcast that I recorded with you, because I'm learning from it. I'm taking notes from it. It's one of those things where it's just like, I get 30 minutes to an hour with some of the top people. If nobody listens to it but me, I'm taking value from it. And that's something that, I copied from other experts like Phil Treadwell, for instance.
Phil's awesome.
He is a mortgage marketing expert. I talked to him for 30 minutes, and after talking to him, I was like, I'm starting a podcast. So, people like that, are actually providing value, leading with value, and leaving the industry better is a great thing. And I want to touch really quick on, your YouTube videos. Dave, I didn't know you on a personal level before I've watched a lot of your YouTube videos. And I don't think I've ever commented on it or shared it or liked it or anything. And I wonder how many people actually do that. Like, they don't actually comment or reach out to you and say, hey, Dave, this really changed my life. Thank you so much for this, advice. I wonder how many people actually do take the value, do change their lives, but don't comment or share. And you can't quantify that, but I'm sure that it happens a lot, especially with you. If you're getting hundreds of views, how many people, don't reach out or like?
Well, and it's not about just changing your life. It's about base hits. It's about driving, just, oh, I got a little script there. Oh, I got a little tactic. I got a phrase. I got a reminder. So for anyone out there creating content, like obviously getting the life-changing feedback. Wow, without the channel, and I get that, but it's the little stuff in between. Of course, guys, we like it when you actually engage on social media and you like it, you share it, you comment. As content creators, that's good validation. So if you're watching anything Jimmy does, letting them know is cool. So
Yeah, don't be shy. Don't be shy. We're real people too.
yeah,
I
right.
respond to all the comments, and I
Well,
want to engage. Like, we want that.
well, it also helps with the algorithms so that we get more distribution. So in all
Of course.
candidness, I want the feedback, but we also just like we want to light up the algorithm so that the content we create gets to more folks. And so
100%.
anyone listening to this, that is, if anytime you watch someone's stuff, if you like it, like it. If you have something to say it. And cool. So, guys, anyone watching this right now, we're going to get into mortgages. I put the title "Podcasting and Mortgages," but I have been saying I'm going to do a podcast now for a couple of years. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions, if nothing more, to get some free consulting for myself. So first of all, how many people are you interviewing? Like, you doing it a couple a week? Do you have a schedule? Tell us how often you're doing it and a little bit about how you're scheduling it.
So the way that I like to do it, first off, is by batching it up. I go gangbusters with sending out invitations, and I'm like batting 1,000% with people that are responding to me and they want to be on the podcast. However, this is the way that I set it up. I'm not just coming right out and saying, "Hey, do you want to be on my podcast?" I'm setting it up by talking to people. I have a relationship with these people already, and I'm building off of it. And for instance, we just interviewed Barry Habib. Barry is an excellent, who doesn't know Barry Habib? Who doesn't know that he provides tons of value? But I don't know that he would have been on my podcast necessarily if maybe Steve Jacobson wasn't on my podcast. And I don't know that necessarily Steve Jacobson would have been on my podcast if maybe I didn't have Sarah Middleton, Travis Neubauer, Kirby Bradley, Brian Clute, people that are at Fairway that have done excellent podcasts. So you really have to start small, but then build up from that and leverage your relationships. I like to do a lot of them at once. So in a particular week, I might do 5. Next week, I might do 5. Next week, I might do 5. But then I try to release them on a weekly basis. So we release.
What's your release schedule?
Yep. We do it every Friday at midnight. And
so one a week.
One a week. And I haven't promoted this yet because I haven't have them all recorded. You got to get them in the hopper. So it can't be like it's Monday. I don't have anything, for Friday, and I'm rushing to do it. If you rush, you're not going to do it as well as you could have. You have to, gosh darn it. Now I'm forgetting your quote, but I want to write it. Have fun, play loose.
Brother, right. Yeah.
That's fire. That's fire. Have fun, play loose. If you're not having fun and playing loose and it's a podcast and you hit record, it ain't going to be pretty. Your nervousness is just going to shine through. And look, it's not that you're not nervous, and you do get better every time, but I'm actually doing one in June. I'm doing Realtor Month, and I'm going to release a podcast every single day. There's 30 that I'm doing, and I have about half of them recorded. And look, again,
you are going after Joe Rogan, the daily podcast, man.
Well, look, try and match me. I guess I'm looking at it like this. Like these are truly these are people that are my friends. I like these people, so it's not work to me.
Right.
I could do this every day and I could do 5 a day and not run out of juice. After your podcast, brother, I was just like, woo, I'm on fire. And that's generally how it is with all of them after I hit stop record.
Well, I love it. So every Friday, by the way, is Friday like the day, if you're going to do a weekly podcast, is that like the best day to do it?
I think everybody does it differently. I've considered changing the day, but really what day that you choose, it doesn't really matter. I think that the biggest thing is consistency. Persistent, consistent effort over time is what's going to give you the results. That's a quote from Phil Treadwell. And that is the truth. You have to be consistent, and my numbers they continue to go up, but it's consistently going up. And it's not just like, boom, boom, this is a huge guest and then down, and then huge guest and then down. You have to consistently build it. And again, it is not don't look at this like a 6-month deal. You have to be, at least 100 episodes. You have to have that type of a commitment when you start. But truthfully, it's not even that. You have to have a 1,000 episode commitment. And if you do have that and it's for the right reasons, you're going to do it. Again, this isn't work to me. So if it's something where like you feel like this is like a really big challenge to put out content, that's going to shine through when you do your podcast. And I could talk about this for a while, but another quick thing on this is that a lot of people tend to force cram into it the monetization part of it. My podcast has no ads, and there is no real monetization of it. And maybe you think that I'm stupid for it, but again, I'm getting the value. Truly, if nobody listens to it, I'm getting the value. So I look at it like that. But also, we're providing value to other people. But my goodness, I'm trying to think where I want to go with that. But okay, this is where I want to go.
I do know I want to transition and get some mortgage content out of
So
you.
let's do that really quick. But this is the thing. Don't do a podcast about how a 1031 exchange works. Don't do a podcast about how monthly payments work on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. You got to think about this. Who is the consumer and who is the audience that you're trying to reach? And what's the pathway that they would go to get that information? Would they listen to your podcast or just Google it? They're going to Google it. And what's your unique value? Well, look, you can sprinkle that in every now and again and show that you are an expert, but people are going to work with you or not because you know how a 1031 exchange works. They're going to work with you or not because they know you, like you, and trust you. And if you have a podcast where they, let's just say, spend 30 minutes to an hour with you, they're going to know you. They're probably going to like you if they listen for that long, and they're probably going to trust you. And if they have all those three things, they might do business with you. And that's
no doubt. Well, there's so many directions we could go with this. And I am going to do a podcast. It's a question to win. Right now, the front runner for the name is Savage Insights. And my goal around it is to interview top producing loan officers, but to expand to the Captain of the Wealth team. So it would be valuable to any local referral-based professional. So it'd be especially valuable to mortgage people, but it'd be very valuable to real estate professionals. It would be valuable to CPAs and financial planners. And in my push to any loan officer listening to this, I don't think you need to make a 1,000 episode commitment. I think you don't want to make a 1 month commitment. You probably need to make a 1 year commitment that you're going to do it. And mortgage professionals, I want to know, like, if you are going to do a podcast, are you doing a podcast? Put it below. There are some just epic podcasters in the mortgage business that are targeting mortgage people, Phil Treadwell, there's a bunch of, I don't want to start naming names because I'll leave one out and I'll apologize to someone, but there's some really good ones down below. You can check out a link to them. Jimmy, let you and I share what we think are some of the best podcasts, but guys, also as mortgage professionals, pulling from what Jimmy's doing, like Cody Touche, if you're listening to this, I just interviewed you, and he's positioning himself as I own 125 doors and I love helping investors. So, creating wealth with real estate podcast. I think there's a lot of ideas that if you're a loan officer, think of what you're passionate about, what gives you energy, what do you want to learn more about? And then I like what you said, Jimmy, when you started with the why, it does help distinguish you as a competitive differentiator in the marketplace. You're not just a loan officer, you're a podcaster. And
right.
And look at who I've interviewed. So
best way I can say it is when I call a realtor, they answer the phone.
Getting it done with Jimi Ryan. All right, guys. So let's transition a little bit to mortgage, because you're a mortgage coach.
Absolutely.
You're a black belt. You're on your way to being a red belt grandmaster. So I think you're at like 800 and some odd TCAs.
Right.
I noticed before the interview, I wanted to see like how many total cost analysis has Jimmy created, and an interesting number. At least in my back end right now, it's 888. I noticed that you've created 24 non-automated, where you've kind of done it yourself, and then you've got 19 automated. So I'm curious, what integrations are you using that are creating those automated total cost analysis?
So I don't know what the automated ones are, if I'm honest. My team.
It could be HomeBot. It could be Optimal Blue. I mean, you're at Fairway, where you guys have
Right.
not only built us into your culture, but you built us into your tech stack. But I'm just curious, what integrations are you aware that you've used?
I know that we have Optimal Blue, and that's probably what it is. Actually, I know that that's what it is. I haven't actually. The only ones that I set up are the manual ones. So we just had one, for instance, where it was a previous customer and we were considering a refinance. We got all the way to the end of the transaction where we had set it up on a 30-year fixed rate loan, and then the guy wanted to back out because, oh man, I'm at 22 years left. I don't want to push it out to year 30. And actually, here, if you want, I can share the screen really quick. This is a great
dude. Well, we got a few minutes left, and I want to get and actually, when I post this into our YouTube channel, I'm going to call it Podcasting and Mortgage Coaching with Jimi Ryan.
That's great.
Wait. Before you get into that, go to the top.
Okay.
I want you guys to notice how he's branding himself. So he's, got his picture. He's branding his team. He's got his corporate information. It's compliant. Okay. Tell us what the strategy is now.
Okay, so this particular person, he wanted to back out, and it's previous customer of mine. We have great rapport. I was like, hey man, why do you want to back out? We're lowering your interest rate, but he was like a 4.5% interest rate. We're saving him a full percent. He's like, I don't want to, push it out to 15 years. So here's what I did. He's also doing a cash out refinance and paying off some car debt. What we did was, and I literally just did this on the spot too. I'll show you a quick rent versus own, but basically what I did was, we put in the value of the house right here. I'm going to actually unhighlight this. Value of the house. And here's a couple loan amount options. So 173 was his payoff. If we would have just kept it at 173, I showed him what his payment would be. But if we kept the cash out amount of 200,000, this is what it would be. Interest rates are all the same. I put the payments together for these. And basically I'm just telling him, hey, this is what the payment's going to be. We also put what his car payments are total in a reinvestment strategy. I can show you that works, but I'm getting into the weeds with this, but I want to just show you how I did this literally on the spot.
You showed the guy how he could pay off his house, 12 years faster. So it went from being a rate and term refi that was rate motivated to, if you do a loan with me, you're going to pay off your house faster.
100%. And what I did show him as well is that, this is how much interest you pay over 30 years, which, obviously if you're paying an extra $331 a month, you're going to pay the least amount in interest. But, oh, by the way, here is a 15-year, the one that you wanted to see. We're going to keep the loan amount at 200,000, which by the way, that's what we get paid on. And, the payment's higher than what he's currently paying now, but look at how much interest you pay. It's just, it's $46,000. And we had it set up originally that he was going to pay $123,000. And he was really big on, hey, I don't want to, push this out 8 years, and I want to pay the least amount of interest. And he makes enough money to afford it. And that's what we did. And then there's a bunch of other numbers on here that I didn't even put that in. I basically just, hey, I'm going to just do some quick scenarios, and I'm kind of hacking it a little bit with it. But the whole point is I'm showing him what he wants to see, which is how much interest are you paying, over the course of the term of the loan. And
here, guys, this is what a modern mortgage professional does. First of all, they're creating content. Everybody's got a different strategy. Jimmy is a podcaster. He's giving advice. He's leveraging technology to do it. Jimmy is a modern mortgage professional. Jimmy, before we wrap, I'd love to see if you do any purchase TCAs, because I'm doing with Todd Bookspan, Win by Noon is putting on this event. I'm the MC and helping quite a bit with it. It's called the Modern Real Estate Summit. And my whole reason for helping create that content is I want realtors to not only get trained by modern agents, their peers, but I want them to know that a loan officer that uses Mortgage Coach is modern and they're delivering more value. So show us a purchase TCA just so we can.
Sure. So
anybody who's going to that event, they're getting some value.
So first thing is that we set up all of our appointments on Calendly. I've called them mortgage consultations, strategy sessions, Q&As, whatever you want to call it. But the first thing that I do is I set them up with, this is just the Calendly appointment, with a bunch of different videos about, for instance, how mortgage-backed securities work, what over par pricing, under par pricing means, earnest money, seller pay closing costs, how long will you be in the house for, conventional versus FHA. There's a lot of different things that I tell them, look, watch this first, and it's 9 minutes. It will make your, meeting with me so much more effective. But then once I get them on on a Zoom, which is how 99% of the appointments are, is I show them a rent versus own. So this particular person, they're moving from Chicago area. The rent is $1,505 a month. And this is just beautiful because I love showing a rent versus own analysis, especially in this market right now. It is so discouraging. People are making offers 30,000 over the asking price, waiving all their contingencies, and they're not getting it. And they do this 5 times and they're discouraged. So this is why I do it. I tell them, look, this is your current rent. Okay, I know that's a lot, but this is what that looks like over 60 months. That's just 5 years, assuming that your rent goes up at 3.3% per year, the national average. And $96,000 is how much you're going to pay in rent, whereas you otherwise would have had between $19,000 and $18,000 thereabouts in principal paid on a mortgage loan. This is the kicker, though. If you continue your current path over 15 years, you will have paid $343,000 just in rent, whereas you would have had between $70,000 and $67,000 thereabouts in principal paid on a mortgage loan. So why am I doing this with you, Mr. Customer? Well, because you're going to get discouraged when you're looking to buy a house in this current market. This is nothing but 343,000 reasons why you should persevere, offer over the asking price, get it done, because if you don't, this is the path that you're going down. And that's a lot of times all I have to say. And this particular client was looking at a $195,000 house. Their payment's less than the rent. I mean, this was just an easy, like, tee me up to just like hit a grand slam. And that's what this what this person did. And look, they could go higher too, but biggest point is to encourage them and educate them that they're going down the wrong path. You want to buy a house if your goal is to create long-term wealth.
So, and guys, write this down. This is how millennials expect to make decisions on mortgages. Like when they see a mortgage coach total cost analysis with a rent versus own, this is the expectation. And trust me, this is realtors' expectations going forward. So last year, there were 1.7 million total cost analysis created. They were viewed 5.5 million times. Guys, we're going to double it this year. And part of this modern real estate summit is bringing leadership to agents around how to be modern. And one of the things to be modern is to be working with a mortgage coach that's giving your families value beyond the transaction. Like a lot of loan officers, a lot of companies can close loans on time with competitive interest rates. Not everybody can help a family understand what decision to make beyond the transaction. So Jimmy, are we going to get you at the Modern Real Estate Summit?
You know, Dave, I actually bought the 25 pack of tickets, and I'm bringing all my agent referral partners with me. Well, my best ones anyway.
Well, wait, by the way, make sure you give it to both prospects and referral partners. So anybody that is buying either the influencer pack of 100 tickets or the team pass of 25, make sure you give those tickets out to both referral partners and people you want to be referral partners. Well, that's cool to hear. I want
to just quick touch on this really quick is that, look, I said it before about the podcast, try and match me. But also with Mortgage Coach, the thing is this, guys, if you don't have Mortgage Coach and all of a sudden they talk to Jimi Ryan and I show them a total cost analysis or rent versus own, who are they going to go with? Who are they going to go with? I mean, it's as simple as that. I'm providing the value. I'm providing exactly what they're looking for. I give them no reason to shop. And truly, I am taking care of them. There is a lot of behind the scenes that happens. We do close it on time. All that stuff's expected, though. This is the type of stuff that sets you apart and you provide expert value, which is what they want.
Well, Jimmy, you are a great role model as a modern mortgage professional. You're creating content, you're delivering value, you're giving families advice. Thank you for making time. Any closing words of advice that you want to give to either new loan officers or just anyone thinking about getting into podcasting?
You know, don't overthink it. My very first episode, if you want to listen to it, by the way, write me a 5-star review. That's the best thing. If you took any value from this, please write me a 5-star review. You can mention Dave Savage's interview. It's pure fire. But if you listen to my very first episode 1, I want you to know my heart was racing. I was on fire. I was just so nervous. And then I got through my little intro piece and I spoke for 16 minutes straight. It was just literally my story. And so don't overthink it. Just do it. And my second interview, I literally talked to somebody that I've known for a long time, one of my best customers. She's closed like, I think 8 loans with me. And she has get it done bars. So I was like, you're definitely gonna be my first podcast. And the questions I asked her ended up being the questions I've asked everybody. And I just did it. And here's my closing words. These are just affirmations that I would encourage everybody to adopt. They're Dave Savage's. Wake up every morning and say this: I am always grateful. I'm always curious. Have fun, play loose.
Yeah, I love that. Well, obviously I love that because those are my personal mantras to keep me on the path of the way I go. So dude, that was awesome, man. I do want to ask folks, I've seen some comments already come in from people that say, oh, I did a podcast. I want you to share your favorite podcast. So if you are a podcaster, if there was one podcast that you want people that are watching this to see, put it in links down below, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook group. If you are thinking about doing a podcast, let us know. What idea are you thinking about? Have you thought of a headline like right now? I'm thinking of doing Savage Insights. If you think you want me to do that, like you want to put some energy around, like, Dave, you got to do a podcast. We want to know what's up. Let us know down below. And if you watch Jimmy's podcast, you heard it, guys. Give him whatever star review you think he deserves, but give him a review. And guys, help play this forward. Share this with your mortgage friends. I hope you get some new subscribers, Jimmy. And again, thank you for honoring me with being on your stage. I had a good time. And if I never got any more feedback about it, having a local high school coach reach out to me on text on a Saturday morning was like, okay, I'm so glad I did that.
It's so cool.
Thank you, brother.
Absolutely, brother. Love it.
This call is a wrap. Take care, everybody.